Hi, I'm Seneca White. I am a communications major, and my presentation is going to be on colorism and the conversation of colorism. And the bottom line I just want to get from this is how to keep the conversation open and what it actually is and what it has to do with in the Black community. For starters, colorism basically is towards the Black community. It's just racism inside of our own race, basically deemed if you're light skinned that you have all the rights in the world, and if you're darker you are looked down upon. And this kind of outlook on life kind of started back in slavery time. So basically if you were lighter you kind of was like a house worker and you did all the house stuff, and if you were dark skin tone, then you were out in the field and you would kind of do all the dirty work. So that's kind of where that stem from, like between light and dark, and that kind of team light skin and team dark skin, which I will get into later on in the video. But before I start basically delving into it, I want to talk about when you hear light skin, when you hear dark skin, you'll hear light skin equals to pretty and confidence and all this self, like it's hyped up. But when you hear dark skin, you hear these like low self-esteem and ugly and all of these derogatory things. That's not what it is. So the point I want to get across from this video is how can we keep the conversation of colorism open, and how can we kind of take away all those negative connotations between those two skin tones. This kind of discussion of team light skin and team dark skin, it kind of started on social media, on Twitter, and a while back everybody has been talking about team light skin, team dark skin, and what it actually means to be that skin color. And I really think in the community, in the Black community, you shouldn't separate our skin color because we're all Black at the end of the day. But at the same time, we both get different, we deal with different problems. And you see this happening on Twitter, social media, Facebook, all types of sites, and on movies and TV shows. It kind of shows how light skins get portrayed and how darker skinned Black people get portrayed. And some are good and then some are just not good. So for starters, I think the conversation should start with younger kids, because if you ever heard of this experiment, it's called the Clerk doll experiment. Basically this man, psychologist Kenneth and Mamie Clerk, they started an experiment to sit kids down from ages 3 to 5 and kind of get them to pick up different dolls of different races, of white, a dark skin, a lighter skin doll. And mostly every one of those kids picked up the lighter tone doll or the white tone doll. And most of the kids were Black. And that kind of shows that what they see through their eyes, they don't see that a darker skin tone is very beautiful because of what they see on TV and what they hear on movies and by their parents and by their own social institution. So I think it should start with the kids and how we should teach them what is beautiful, and every color, every skin tone is beautiful, and not separate the two, what's pretty and what's not pretty. These researchers found that the Black children often chose to play with the white dolls more than the Black ones. They would say that this doll is prettier, this doll is not pretty, and the psychologist would ask which doll would you compare to yourself, and they'd pick up the white doll, which is not true because they would be Black. But that's just some of the negative effects that you get against colorism when it comes to children, because they're not fully developed in their mind and they have thoughts and questions and statements running through their mind. So of course they're going to just pick up what they hear or see. So when I was doing my research about colorism, I found this website, and it's done by all Black young people website. It's called Media Diverse, and this one girl by the name of J.N. Salters, she wrote for the blog Media Diverse, and she basically talked about her experience with being dark skinned. And basically she would get things like, oh, you're pretty for a dark skinned girl, and she wouldn't understand what that meant. And by the different types of music she would listen to, she would hear all these types of connotations against like light-skinned girls and how they were more desirable and how darker-skinned girls weren't. And I think this kind of thinking happens a lot with this generation and in the media. with all types of research, like, you know, music, movies, television shows, and magazines. They all kind of show that light skins are in and dark skins are not as pretty, or, you know, it's not as desirable as a lighter tone person. Though I just said that colorism takes a big toll in the entertainment industry, I wanted to point out that there are some movies that portray the colorism effect, and movies like Precious with the actress Gabby Sidibe. She played Precious in the movie, and she was deemed as a darker black skin tone woman who wasn't pretty, who didn't have self-confidence in herself, and people put her down. And then there's movies like Love and Basketball with the actress Sanaa Lathan, who played a pretty, you know, overconfident woman who just looked down upon everybody. And that I don't like that part of the industry, how they kind of take those type of characters and they kind of depict what skin color is what characteristic. But also you have exceptions like Kerry Washington and Gabrielle Union, who are these darker skin tone people who have these characteristics as being mean and as a character on the movies, and have a lot of self-confidence. So I think in the entertainment industry they need to do a lot better with bringing out those type of characteristics, and good characteristics, and not all bad. When looking more into the media, you'll see how the media kind of tricks a bunch of actresses and all sorts of types of entertainers, such as, you know, Raven-Symoné, Zoe Saldana, India Arie, all types of actresses, Gabrielle Union. And it's very hard in the acting world, because they kind of see a certain type of mold, especially being black. They kind of see a specific type of person. And when I was doing research, I was on Oprah Winfrey's YouTube channel, and they had a discussion about colorism and how it is so prevalent in the entertainment world, and how they don't want that type of black person. They want a pretty black person. They want the lighter, you know, pretty, you know, all around desirable light skin, and not the dark skins. And just about a year ago, Zoe Saldana was playing for Nina for the singer Nina Simone. Now Nina Simone is a more darker tone to Zoe Saldana, and everybody, the critics, they were criticizing her, the actress and the director, and why they chose her instead of somebody else who was actually more towards Nina Simone's color. And I kind of think that it's not their fault. It's more of what the media wants. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. And I want to change. And I want to open the conversation up. And how can we as a people, black, white, any type of culture or race, can change that? I don't think it's fair to turn down another actress because of their weight, size, sexuality, or color of their skin, despite being the same color. Like, I think that's quite ridiculous, and I made that a point in my research paper to say that that is a big issue in the entertainment industry, especially with music and acting and all sorts of type of things that happens in this industry. I think it's important to just keep this conversation open to all sorts of races and young people and older people, just to know that, just to have the conversation of not being team light skin or team dark skin, because we're separating the community. You know, being black, it's already such a big issue, and when you separate the issue, it makes more issues, and we have more problems, and we can't help each other move on and get successful. And when you use these terms and derogatories and look down upon dark skinned people and light skinned people, you kind of take away the whole aspect of what being black is, because you're supposed to celebrate your race and not tear it down. So that's a point that I wanted to make in my research paper to come away with in the end, is just keep the conversation open, because this always will be a conversation. It will not go away. It's been around during slavery, and it will be around, you know, racial brutality, police brutality, all types of issues and acts, and I want to make that important. So before I go, I want to mention there are positive films and music, musicians and artists who talks about colorism in a good way, and talks about, you know, it's not about color, it's not about being light, it's not about being dark, it's just about, you know, embracing whoever you are. So I found two good films. They're basically, one is called Dark Girls, and the other movie is a sequel. It's called Light Girls, and they're basically two movies that discuss the two different skin tones and how the differences and similarities and how to deal with that. So there are also good positive songs, videos, artists. From Beyonce, I know she's done Formation, and that's just, if you look at the video, that's all types of skin colors coming together, girls just celebrating and successes and being strong. From people like Kendrick Lamar, who just uplifts the whole black community and let people know that we're strong, we can get through whatever, and you don't have to separate each other.